You know, we talk about the preparing for the job interview, and I think we came up with 12 steps, 12 ways that we recommended to prepare for a job interview, and we are not going to go through them. But the last one was show up 15 minutes early because, well, you want to get there at least on time, but you want to meet the gatekeeper, because ultimately the recruiter, whenever I've been a recruiter, I've always asked the gatekeeper for his or her initial impressions. Because the gatekeeper, they sense things that we don't always sense as interviewers. And so I always ask the gatekeeper. So as a job seeker, you should be asking the gatekeeper, or saying hello to the gatekeeper, making a very good first impression, and then kind of scoping the room so that you can kind of become familiar, but then you can kind of ask questions about what you see in the room. For example, one time I had a meeting with the owner of the Atlanta Braves. I was 22 and I had a meeting with him, and I was going to ask him for $250,000. And I'm 22, and I walk into his room and office, and I saw a bowl full of signed baseballs, and I lost it. And I'm a Dodgers fan, but I just lost it because the names on those balls, like, they're Hall of Famers. And so we just talked about that for 45 minutes before I asked him the big dollar question. But job interviews, they're opportunities for both the job seeker and the person doing the interviewing, or the team doing the interviewing. It's an opportunity for the job seeker to showcase skills and experiences and abilities and interests and career goals in that verbal format. And it doesn't just apply to in-person interviews, it applies to phone interviews, screenings, and then this video format, whether it's Zoom or other formats. There have been video interviewing procedures going on for several years, and they're going to become part of the new norm, likely. And so the same skills and same things you provide in an in-person interview will take place in that video interview. With the interviews, as we talked about last week, it's always important, 2 weeks ago, important to talk about or be prepared to give your elevator pitch. And if you're not familiar or you're not ready to provide that yet, your why statement, and we'll get to that in a minute. But being prepared for that interview allows you to be in the right frame of mind to entertain that interview discussion, answer important questions, ask questions of your own, and then present yourself in a calm, confident, and appealing way. You'll be asked a number of questions throughout the interview. The three that I like the most are, what are your career aspirations? How have your experience and education prepared you? And what attributes do you bring to the employer? And the fourth would be, why do you want this job? And so if you come in prepared to answer those questions, you're going to be one leg up of where you thought you were going to be when you started the interview. And again, you want to present yourself in a calm, informative, and compelling or convincing way.
If I could add right there, if you guys are preparing yourselves and you understand what questions you're going to be asked, you're going to be more relaxed. And being more relaxed, you're going to present yourself much better instead of being nervous.
Correct. And the interviewers, they conduct interviews for a few reasons, but mostly to determine if you possess the hard and soft skills required to not only succeed in the position, but help grow the position, help improve the service offered, and ultimately benefit the company, improve the company. They also want to determine your readiness and your knowledge of the company and your desire to work in that industry. And they also want to find out if you'll be a good and positive fit in their corporate culture or their company or nonprofit culture. Do you fit in? And that's where that gatekeeper comes into play. You're ultimately there to make the company stronger, to help them serve their clients better, and really to make them money. They're not hiring you because they want you to have something to do. And they're not hiring you just to give you money. I look at job interviews, and I've been on many, for fun. Because to me, it's a great way to meet people and to understand companies and what they're looking for. And there's that time where you might actually say yes to another interview. But they can be an amazing experience. And so my advice to interviewees, the job seekers, is to make the most of it. And to approach interviews like it's a two-way street or a two-way conversation. You're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. Because let's face it, this is where you're going to spend the majority of your time. So you want to make sure that the whole thing, from the atmosphere to the people to the questions, this is the place for you at this particular time.